What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this series where I'll be discussing my top 10s. Hopefully, this won't be too boring. I don't think this is going to be a comprehensive list by any stretch, but I just wanted to try to cover the cards I think might impact the format at large, or at least specific archetypes. The first card that I want to talk about is Animation Module. When you look at this card for the first time, it doesn't seem all that great, but you'd be wrong. The amount of cards his second ability works with is insane. Loyalty counters, experience counters, divinity counters, age counters, poison counters. You see what I'm talking about? This card had me at experience counter. Next, we're going to talk about Authority of the Consuls. Now, this card is one of the weaker cards on the list in terms of power, but it's also highly underrated. Now, if you cast this card early, the amount of life that you'll gain by the end of the game will be enough to propel you to a win, in a tournament, of course. But the first ability is really what caught my eye. I mean, as a static orb enthusiast, I feel like this card has found a home in pretty much any stacks deck. I mean, it even shuts down some of the creature-based infinites in a lot of stronger decks. Now, if you ever had Cataclysm casted on you before, then you'll know why this aptly named card is in my top 10. It instantly takes away any board state advantage a player might have, and it can even put you up on your opponents in certain conditions. It's also pretty abusable with blink effects when you're trying to establish a lock, and it's a savage in stacks-based or control-based decks. I mean, I love this card. It does work. Now, I don't think I need to talk too much about why this card is good, but I do think it's worth mentioning that it should be played in every red-based deck, exactly the same way that Jace the Mind Sculptor should be in every blue-based deck. His first ability protects itself and draws you cards, and red seriously needed consistent card draw. The second ability protects itself and it ramps, and removal is built into his last two abilities. Plus, it tops the curve index where it can take the most advantage of its use. Chandra is a staple. She is awesome. Next up, this card is probably more of a pet card than anything, but I believe paying 2 mana for half a turnabout is pretty good. Not to mention, the day that someone goes infinite by putting this in Isochron Scepter, I'm gonna need a new fresh pair of draws because I will be laughing my ass off. You know what? I might just have to do it. Now, let's talk about the big dog. And before you even say it, I know it's not instant speed, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that it's solid removal. Now, it's definitely better in constructed formats because it opens up a lot of design space, but this card is the card that I am the most excited about in the whole set. The fact that it can hit almost every dangerous early game target is actually really relevant, and if you're on the draw and someone plays Sylvan Library and you have this in your opening hand, you will not be sorry, I promise. Now, where are my manners? I almost forgot about Gonti, Lord of Luxury. When he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library and exile one of them face down. Then put the rest of the rubbish on the bottom of that library in a random order. No, but seriously, Gonti's actually a pretty fun commander. I mean, that ability is pretty sweet, actually, when you sit down and look at it. You can cast those cards for any color of mana, which is cool. And the best part is that it doesn't matter if Gonti leaves the battlefield or if he's even on the battlefield after you use his ability. You can cast those cards at any time that you would normally be able to cast them. I don't know if that's not fun. I mean, I don't know what it is. Get the Crucible. Get the Peely Pala. Get the Strionic Resonator. Get the Rings. Get the Chain Veil. You're going to be hearing that a lot. And I could go on and on and on and on about all the targets. But I think it's easy to see why this is in the top 10. It's a tutor that you can play in almost every deck. Plus, if you look real close there on the art, you can see Tezzeret sitting in the back sipping on some Hennessy. Speaking of Tezzeret, we're going to talk about Metallurgic Summonings next. Now this is a card that has an effect to replace what some blue base decks really needed: creatures. I mean, this is a weird way of looking at this card, but I like to think of it as like a blue bitter blossom. I mean, you're going to be casting instants and sorceries anyway, so why not get some dudes to go along with it? I mean, the second ability isn't so bad either. I mean, by the time that last ability is live, you'll probably have a win setup, you know, kind of like how you would usually win off of Yawgmoth's Will. So I mean, just thinking about the two abilities in combination really make this card solid in a lot of blue decks. And last but not least, Nissa Vital Force. Now, she might be the strongest Nissa in my opinion, and definitely the strongest green planeswalker behind Garruk Wildspeaker. Her plus protects her by animating a land and potentially lets you get one more tap of the cradle. I mean, that's nothing to, you know, shake your finger at. Now, the regrowth is honestly not all that bad either. I mean, it's just a really solid planeswalker, very good, aggressively costed, and the fact that her ultimate lets you draw cards for playing lands the turn after you activate it, I say that was a solid card to round out this top 10. Now, I just want to thank everyone for watching, and if you liked the video, please subscribe and smash that like button. I'm planning on making these videos for a long time, so if you want to leave a comment or if you have some top 10 ideas of your own, you know what to do.